Welcome to JC Chats. I am incredibly excited for today's guest and our conversation. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Alyssa Dinowitz, who is founder and executive director at Chemo Companions. So, Alyssa, thank you so much for being with us.
For having me, Heather.
Yeah, so we met not too long ago. We connected on LinkedIn, I think it was, and we have mutual friends. We met for coffee and just really hit it off. I feel like you're somebody I've known a really long time
I,
and could talk to you forever. So I'm so happy we're having this conversation, and I love everything you're doing with Chemo Companions. So why don't we start by if you could tell everybody how Chemo Companions came about?
of course. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer a very long time ago, probably 20 years ago. She did not need chemotherapy, but it did come back. So she was in remission for a little while. And when she needed chemo, I would go with her. I had two kids that would go to school every day, and I didn't have like a traditional office job. So I would go to chemo with her. And I quickly noticed around us at the time, it wasn't, now they're very private little like first class suites in an airplane. Well, back then it was about 10 recliners in a circle. And so when you'd get your infusion, you were plopped down to somebody right next to you. And so there was no denying that you would talk to them and share stories. And so being in this big family, we just connected with people immediately. My mother would, I always tell people I'd pick her up and she'd have a big tray of bran muffins or cookies or something to bring to the patients. I'm like, oh my God, you're the sick one. What are you doing? And then we'd carpool and pick up somebody. And then we'd bring Mary food after we'd go to AJ's and get food for whoever. It was kind of this natural progression of taking care of the people around you. And when she passed, and my sisters would go, my dad would go when he could. Nobody wanted to go back. My family was like, we're never going back there. And I thought, well, I have to drive Jackie and I have to bring Mary something. So I just 2 weeks after she died, I went back, it was really tough, but I did it and tried to make it about, you kind of can get out of your own way if you make it about somebody else. And a few months later, I thought, I'm going to just start a nonprofit, which I had no experience with other than volunteering. And so, yeah, in 2010, it became an Arizona nonprofit.
That's so cool that, you took that and just ran with it. That's really, really cool.
I probably stumbled with it. I wouldn't say ran, maybe, but yeah, I just, it evolved naturally, and people were so interested in volunteering and also sitting with patients and donating their time and their money and just what it's grown into.
Yeah.
You don't even ask people anymore, oh, have you ever met anybody that's had cancer? It's who in your life? How have you been touched?
Isn't that so true? And I had shared with you when we first met that I had that experience with a family member too, going through chemo and sitting with him and, just that whole experience. It's something you have no idea what that's like until you've done that, right, with somebody. And just to, we did the same kind of thing, started talking to people, and you start seeing some of the same people, that are coming back at the same time, and so it does become this kind of camaraderie, or there. So I love that, people are coming and doing this. Tell everybody kind of how it works. Like, so you have volunteers, right? So tell more about that.
So volunteers just have to meet with one of the patient coordinators and do a very quick orientation, and then they can go sit with patients. You can also, if people aren't comfortable with that, like at the Ironwood system, will go and work at the wig shop or, work in the food pantry. It doesn't have to be that you are visiting with a patient one-on-one. Some people just aren't cut out for that. I don't know. I love talking to strangers. So to me, it's like the best thing about my day. And yeah, so you can do that. There's also like the bag stuffings where we'll get together at a home or a business and we fill these terrific goodie bags that have lots of stuff in them. That's when I noticed people didn't have things with them. They weren't prepared. So we give out about 1,000 bags this year. I think it was about 1,000 that have a blanket and fuzzy socks and a hat and a Sudoku book and a coloring book and pencils and a chapstick and a snack. Just things that you don't know that you'll need when you're there. You don't absolutely need them, but it's nice to have them.
Sure. Anything you can do, right, to help people be a little bit more comfortable in that type of situation, I'm sure they appreciate.
They do. And when we go around, we'll ask because the Phoenix Suns gave us about 350 these great plush blankets. And so we'll walk around with big bag, 6 or 7 bags on and ask the patient, are you a Suns fan? And most of the time they are, but sometimes they're like, no, I don't want a Suns, I don't want a Suns blanket. They're very picky. They're like, can I see what's in there? Do I have to buy this? It's hilarious. And it maybe 1% of the time somebody will say, no, give it to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I'm sure they appreciate it. It's not, I can imagine too, if you're sitting there and you're not really expecting somebody to come and bring you a bag of goodies, right? So it's got to be a delight.
For you? Are you a nurse? What are you doing here? And then like a volunteer and I went on Tuesday and we had our big antlers on and we just try to, and we have some local companies that Sunt Construction just did a party where they made holiday cards. And I also have first graders that make the most amazing Christmas cards or holiday because some of them, you don't know what they hop you fell butter. And I'm like, do you want an adult or a first grader? They're like, I want a first grader.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of like the cheering committee. But you can
Yeah.
feel when somebody's sleeping or not well and like you can read a person's energy and I'll just sometimes leave a bag next to them. And
Yeah.
anyway.
That's sweet. So you mentioned companies then can get involved and do stuffing of the bags or do different things to get their employees engaged this way as well, right?
Yes. So in the past probably 2 months, we were up in Flagstaff with NAU and Finley Toyota. Yeah, the athletics and some of the football players from NAU, which was super fun. Um, yeah, Courtesy Chevrolet here in town, Cox Media, Sunt Construction, the Phoenix Suns did it at their new building, which was great. I know I'm probably forgetting the Padres were here for spring training. So we're just, everybody has to do volunteer hours and it's a simple thing. We come with all the stuff and set it up in a conference room and load them up and Cox, we got in cars and delivered them. The same thing on Halloween. We dressed up. And so it's a really easy thing to do. And a lot of people want their name on the bag. So there's sponsorship opportunities if people were to put their swag, lot of swag, bags from local community sponsors. So
Yeah.
it's a
What a
win.
meaningful way for people to get involved. That's great.
We have 2 companies we're going back in February and making Valentine's, like having luncheons with adults
Awesome.
to make Valentine because the cards, the patients love the handmade cards.
Yeah, I can imagine so. That's cool. People get to be creative and touch somebody else, that way with their card. So you said you started this 2010, right? So from then till now, what would you say is, something you love most about the journey?
I think I'm a kind of I'm the baby of 5 girls, and I always say my dad had like these 5 tenacious boy like type personality girls that are very we just set our mind to something and don't take no for an answer. Plus we're Italian, so that's even worse. And so when I set out to do this, I probably didn't go about it in the correct make a business plan, it was sort of like my heart is in this. I know it has to be done. And now, in the past 2 years, or since COVID, when they're like, we really need gas cards, these patients can't get to work, they don't have jobs, they've been fired for having a cancer diagnosis, really stepped it up to be more business minded and included my board to be more kind of like teach me the things I'm not good at. I'm a, I love going to chemo. I think it's the greatest. If I could just do that every day and ask people for stuff because I'm like, you have to give us stuff. There's no sales pitch to this. This is like, come with me and you'll see
Yeah.
light in these people's eyes. Um, I think I I know somebody asked me the other day, they're like, you've been doing this 15 years. I'm like, I really have, with
Yeah.
not, I won't say single-handedly, but a lot of it. Uh,
Mhm.
and so now I'm learning to be more takes a village minded.
Yeah.
Because as you know, yesterday I have so much on my plate right now. I'm like, I really just need to wave a white flag, not a red flag, a white one, and ask for help. And I'm getting it. And so the growth, and I'm surprised I'm still here in a way, but not because, like I said, my parents kind of taught us like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Y Yeah, you really can, and, us strong-minded females, we we just, find a way, make a way, and get things done, so really, yeah, no surprise that you're still here because 'cause you're doing great things, and you're obviously doing a great job with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's I'm so blessed. Like I said, the best part is sitting with patients and just learning life stories. And I've been to, unfortunately, several funerals. I've spoken at a few because of them. Been to baby showers and weddings with family members. Like, they're family. They become
Yeah.
family. Like you said, you see them every week for weeks and weeks and months, and you know them. You know.
Yeah. What are some of the best stories? Like, what are some of the things you've learned, I guess, through, just talking with people? Because you're right, everybody has a story. That's something I've learned. Everybody has something really interesting.
They do. One of the people that pops out to me is a gentleman. His name was Gary. But when I first met him at chemo, he was back in his lazy boy, and his wife had just dropped him off, and she said, "I'll be back." And I said, "Blue suede shoes, really? I'm gonna call you Elvis." And he and Norma had been married for I don't know how many years, but he was from the South. He was a machinist, and he was just of the you don't complain, and not my mother had this attitude to not why me. It was sort of why not me, and they were Christian, and they were like, the Lord will, this is in his hands. I have to be honest with you, never met a complainer. I've never met anybody that's like, heck with this, I'm giving up. I think I've learned a lot about the human spirit, that even when I can see the look somebody has when they're dying, and
Mhm.
they say, you know what? When I get my strength back, we're going to San Diego for Labor Day. Or when I get my strength back, and that's what they tell themselves.
Right.
Um, it's this will to live that's so powerful. And it's such a reality check when I go to chemo because I think I have nothing to complain about, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely it's a mind check.
Mhm. We talk a lot about, obviously joyfully centered, is the name of my program. And we talk a lot about that. And people don't necessarily, when you think that, they think of all the really happy, high energy things. And, to your point, I think a lot of times when people are going through something life threatening or really big like that, they do oftentimes find a place of being joyfully centered within. And that's what helps them get through, right? So I think that's so important. And it's really interesting, what you've learned along the way through talking with people and really being there and showing up for them.
Yeah, the belief, I won't say it's faith, but it's hope.
Hmm.
There is a through line of hope with every patient. I honestly have never seen anybody throw up their hands.
Wow.
So that's pretty incredible,
Yeah.
at least not in my presence, but everybody wants to live. Everybody wants to see their grandchildren for Christmas or whatever. It's powerful, and it makes you just check yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like we could learn a lot. We should all be, really talking to people that are going through things. You really, like you said too, it really puts things into perspective in your own life, right? And what's important for us and all of that. So, yeah. What are some of the things that bring you joy? I know you said sitting with the patients and that, but what are some other things that bring you joy through, professionally, personally? How do you choose to joyfully center?
Well, professionally too, another thing we started doing a few years ago was these complementary modality classes. So
Mm.
in addition to like my background's in yoga, I'm a vegetarian. I feel like I'm very health minded. Um, and so I thought that would be an important piece to bring in other than just having chemotherapy. We just had um, a trauma artist come in 2 days ago at Ironwood and do an art class with the patients. We have had free, everything's free, yoga classes, sound therapy, singing bowls, and what else have we had? I can't think of it all, but it really brings me joy to bring them another place to have this outlet. Journaling. We're going to start. I think it's important for that patient to see. To include other things in their cancer journey, not just here's your medicine, we'll see in 2 weeks.
Right.
But in my life, I guess I love exercising. I love cooking. I love gardening. I have a huge family. I love being with them. I love to travel. I write. I try to write every night. I'm a writer on the side. Um, yeah.
What kind of writing do you do? I mean, do you do writing like, are you writing a book or anything, or what kind of writing do you do?
Yes.
Oh.
I um I started writing something in 2013 after something kind of popped into my life that was very serendipitous. And I kept putting it away. I kept putting it away. And I saw the whole thing in my mind. And then actually an old boyfriend of mine is a writer in New York City and he's a screenwriter. So he and I are writing partners, only writing partners. He's married. Um, but I'm writing novelistically and he is turning it into a script.
Oh, how cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to like hear more as that, continues forward and everything. So that's exciting.
It's about basically about a woman's journey and kind of putting on her big girl panties and figuring out her life and her patterns. And she was an artist in her previous life. And yeah,
Oh, that's so cool. I'm really excited to, see that unfold. So very cool. You never know. See, I'm telling you, we all have so many things going on, like
the
that's what you're doing in your spare time.
thing, because we were supposed to meet, is today Wednesday? Yes. And I had to push him off to tomorrow. I'm like, I cannot meet with you tonight. So tonight I'm alone and I will be writing for the
That's
like the last 3 hours of the night. I like to write at about 10 till whenever I start falling asleep.
That is so cool. That's so cool. Well, so tell me about so when we met, you gave me this wonderful hat, which I love that says kindness wins. So tell me more about that, how the, kind of how you came up with that and what that means to you.
That 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 saying actually came, my son is now 25. When he was in 5th grade, he was being bullied by somebody.
Mhm.
And I knew the family and I knew this little boy was really a sad little boy, the one who was bullying my son. And, you know, his dad was like, and his grandpa were like, take him out in the playground and what men do and what they used to do. And I'm like, listen, this little boy has be just kindness wins. Just be kind to him and invite him over, etc. And that did patch it up. And then at that time, I also had this, I was teaching a lot of yoga and had a clothing line, an inspirational clothing line. And I'm like, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, which was, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago. Um, and then when I founded Chemo Companions, I thought this is just a perfect tagline. Uh,
Wow.
my mom's thing was, if you have two, give one away, or and leave it better than you found it. And this is kind of mine, kindness wins, because it does.
Yeah. It does. It does. And It just absolutely incorporates everything you're doing, I think. And obviously, you have a very, kind, giving heart, and you do take care of so many people. And you do so obviously in such a kind way. And so I think it is, perfect. And, we are at the end of our time together. It goes by so fast when we're having conversation. So before, we wrap up, is there anything else that you want us to know about Chemo Companions or anything you'd like to share with us before we go?
Like I said, I would love volunteers if it speaks to your heart or it touches you in a way that you would like to get involved. There's so many opportunities for you to be just to touch the cancer community. Also Ironwood Cancer Centers, I told you last night, I had dinner with them and they've given me, there's 16 locations. We have 3 senior citizens we're shopping for that are homebound cancer patients for the holidays, and then 3 additional families that are all single moms with children, and one at MD Anderson. But there are 6, like I said, 16 locations. My hope is next year we have enough money to buy holiday gifts for maybe 10. I'm just trying to grow a little bit. But there's 33,000 people diagnosed in Arizona with cancer last year. And so whatever people can do, if you can sponsor us, if you can hold a bag stuffing in your place of business, have your kids in NCL make cards for us, anything would be amazing.
That's great. I'm sure many of us and many out there will be able to assist with those things. And I'm just, so happy that I've gotten the chance to talk to you on our JC chats. I know we've spoken off offline, but so happy we've gotten to do that and share Chemo Companions with everybody. And we will be sure to include your contact information in the post of this video so that everybody can reach out and get involved. So just again, Alyssa, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for everything you're doing, because you're right, kindness wins. So,
You too. You too.
all right. Well, everybody, hope you have an incredible day and an incredible week. And we will see you next time for our next JC Chats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.